Please stand for the pledge.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, I'd like to thank everyone for their attendance, and the minutes can reflect the roll call of various trustees, department heads, and officials. Let's move on to item 3. Entertain a motion for the approval of the A2 Village Board filed the 6/14 Board of Public Works meeting minutes as presented.
I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second that. Motion is second, as always, comments, questions, clarifications on the minutes. Hearing none, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. Anybody in the audience wishing to be heard on an item of non-agenda item? Move on to item 5, anything that's been presented in the normal fashion. Move on to item 6, resolutions, ordinance, action items. Item A is a resolution that came back to us for some additional information, and that is regarding the repair of the Grade Crossing for the train across Highway 60, right?
Correct.
This is back to us. I don't think anybody needs to, what is the entertaining resolution for the amended? Offer motion second.
I'll offer.
Motion.
Second. I mean, I don't think anybody's changed their mind about doing it, right? No. All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Resolution passes. Item B is a resolution amending the 2021 general fund. Again, this is mostly housekeeping. We do this 2-3 times a year. Offer motion second.
Offer. I'll make a motion.
I'll second.
Anybody have any questions for Paul? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? And motion, resolution passes. Item C is report of the plan commission, one item, and that's a motion for the approval of amending zoning ordinance section 190309, commercial land uses, subsection BB, vehicle and small engine service and repair be approved. Again, we have two uses coming into the village, one right now and one with the proposed Lane's Farm and Fleet that will want to be doing small engine repair. So we need to add it as a commission use.
I'll make a motion. I'll second.
Motion is second, comments, questions? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Let's move on to item D, report of the Board of Public Works. We have 2 items. Item 1 is a motion to enter into a contractual agreement with R.A. Smith of Cedarburg, Wisconsin to redesign the intersection of State Highway 60 and 12th Avenue to provide improved traffic flow and design EVP detection at the intersections of State Highway 16 and 17th Avenue and State Highway 16 and Cheyenne Avenue be approved.
I'll make a motion. I'll second that.
Motion is second. Amber, want to speak a little bit to this?
Sure. So I went back through all the proposals today just to get a better look at them and bring some further feedback. So R.E. Smith definitely did provide the most thorough proposal with the most information in it. So that was one of the reasons why I recommended award to them. Some other concerns with some of the other proposals. Tattie's proposal only was for retiming of the signals. So it did not include any lane reconfiguration or anything else. It was simply only for changing the timing of the signals. That's why their proposal was less. And then the SEH proposal limited the improvements to 5 recommendations. So their proposal only included giving 5 recommendations on improvements. Whether we find 5 or 10, it would be nice to have a consultant give us all the requirements or all the recommendations that they can find to improve this intersection as best possible while we're out there hauling.
And the cost? I see the cost is in the, I see the cost in the
It is
minutes.
90% of the cost for the work at 12 and 60 will be covered by the DOT. 100% of the design cost for the EVPs at 17 and Cheyenne will be covered by the DOT.
So do we need to include like a not to exceed, or do we not even know what those numbers are yet?
We could, I would say it would be a not to exceed, I believe it would be 3,000. The maximum the DOT will pay for design is 21,000. If we wanted to include that, we could.
It's up to the board or your wishes, understanding, or do you want to put it in paper? Well, first, I made the motion, and Bishop made the second, agree to that, not to exceed 3,000.
I will.
Okay, with that amended change, anybody have any final questions?
Yeah.
Okay.
So Amber, at the meeting the other night, trustee Harvick voiced concern about not taking a lower bid. You went with R.A. Smith for more. Do you feel the additional amount is well warranted?
I do. That was why my recommendation was that way, because they offered the most for the amount of money. Now, the other bids were lower, but they also were not proposing to do as much work for the village. And I feel like while we have this 90% match grant, let's take advantage of it and let's do everything an engineer can come up with to improve traffic flow through that intersection, versus only looking at one thing or 5 things as the others proposed.
Okay. Any other questions? Motion is second, all in favor? Any opposed? That motion passes. Item 2 is a motion to approve and sign the conveyance of rights, temporary construction easements, and statements of non-reimbursement with the Wisconsin DOT with damage clause including the approved.
I'll make a motion.
I'll second.
Motion is second, Amber?
All right, so these are related to the I-43 construction project, widening that's coming up here in the next number of years. Construction is slated to start up our direction as early as this fall. There are some current easements and some current sanitary and water utilities that run within the project limits. So these are all related to that. There was a question brought up at Board of Public Works about the statement of non-reimbursement by the utility. So there's an understanding right now, and I have reviewed the plans, that there are no impacts to our facilities. All of our facilities are at the very outskirts of kind of regrading and matching in their slopes, so there should be no impact. But the DOT was not willing to put in writing what the Board of Public Works requested, that they would cover any damages that happen to occur to our facilities. They said if any damages occurred, that we would have to work directly with the contractor to get those resolved. Further explained that made no sense because we won't have a contract with these contractors, we won't have a relationship, that it should be DOT's responsibility to coordinate any damages that were done, for us giving them the ability to work within our easements. That was not something they're comfortable in doing.
Well, I'm sure they're not gonna do that for anybody.
Correct.
I mean,
Correct.
Yep, Tom?
This was a discussion that you had with them after our Board of Public Works meeting.
Correct. Correct. So then I did furthermore ask if we did not sign the statement of non-reimbursement, what that would mean. And she did verbally tell me this afternoon that if plans change and then there were relocations or impacts for our utilities, we could discuss it further.
Questions, concerns?
I don't think that's what we wanted to hear coming out of the public works. Probably the best we can do when we're doing state DOT, however.
Yeah, I agree.
I am a little bit worried because the way they had explained it in writing is that under the statement of non-reimbursement, the Grafton Water and Wastewater Utility reserves its right to compensation if conditions change that require relocation or adjustment for our utility and sewer water facilities. So I am a little bit worried if we don't sign it, that, you know, if something changes in their plans, they can come back and say, we don't have any rights.
So you had just said, though, that they don't expect, based upon the limits of where their construction is going to occur, it should not interfere or impact any of our utilities where we currently sit.
Yes, our crossings are well deep enough that they don't anticipate any conflicts with our crossings, and then anything that goes kind of parallel to the freeway is right at the kind of farthest extent of them trying to match in new slopes for their widenings. They do not anticipate any conflicts.
That all sounds good and reasonable, and there shouldn't be any problems. But if they don't stick to their area or
Right, control their contractors to stick to the
Exactly.
plan.
Do we have a way of, and again, maybe this needs to be discussed at public works a little bit further, but when they start to do construction, out there, do we have a way of being able to get out there to assure that they are in fact staying far enough away from our utilities?
I think we would have the ability to, whether we have staff time to try to do something on a project that large, to keep up with it. Wouldn't be a concern.
Okay.
I could say we could ask them to bring a representative to next month's Board of Public Works meeting and, you know, get some more information if that sounds reasonable.
I think that's reasonable.
we're approving this evening. This will just be for your information.
Is it time sensitive that it has to be approved?
They'd like it approved, sooner rather than later, but I don't believe that they'll have any construction starting.
I just don't see us, we don't really have a lot of leverage here.
That's
Am I
right.
missing something?
Yeah, I'm just hearing Amber's report.
I mean, we can not like it, but I mean,
But
I don't know that we cannot say no.
I think that we have to be able to enter into an agreement with them, but I think they have to do a very good job of explaining to us, the limits. I mean, the map that we got was like 3, because it doesn't show where our utilities are in respect to how far they're going to be working and how far they're going to be grading. And I think having them be able to explain that to us would probably make us at least feel a little bit better about our utilities that are in that area.
Do other municipalities have to sign this too? I mean,
I
it's
would
the
assume
whole,
it's their standard form, so they said they send it to everyone, and if you don't sign it, they'll just document that we were given the opportunity to sign it. We could move forward with just advance of rights and temporary construction easements, which I don't believe we've had any concerns with at Board of Public Works. Approve those tonight and not approve the statements of non-conversant.
Whatever the board feels.
I would agree with going ahead that way, and then as trustee DeLord suggests, maybe say it, we didn't approve it, but please provide us more information for our comfort.
Well, I think that at this point in time, their PR department's working overtime, because I did get a second email, I'm sure most of us did today, that if you didn't get the first email, we want to make sure, because we've got a second email. So I think that they're at a point where they probably want PR heavy, so I would like to see them submit publicly.
So for the citizens, I made the motion a second, we'll just amend this motion to approve and sign the conveyance of rights temporary construction easements. Okay with that?
And the tabling of the action on the, or a postponement of the action on the non-reimbursement. Well, I think I think the movement wants to postpone to the first meeting after the public works. Right. So, does that make sense?
That makes sense to me, because if you table it, then someone has to.
Someone has to call it off.
Right.
Okay.
All right. Any further questions? You got all that, Melissa? All in favor? Aye. Motion passes. Item 7, department officers reports.
Certainly, a handful of items here for the village board this evening. Received word, speaking of the I-43 project, we have received word that the Wisconsin Department of Transportation will be establishing a staging area in the town of Grafton, just east of the village, near the intersection of Eula Ale Road and County Highway C, along the north side of the road. This would be just past the landscaping business. There's the agricultural field there. The area will have equipment staging, material storage, and a temporary cement plant for the I-43 project. Staff is going to keep a keen eye on this, as there'll be extra construction traffic on albeit a small portion of, but village roads. So
Question, is that the area that we originally looked at to turn into a business park?
yes, sir.
So don't those neighbors around there object to it again?
I cannot say. That is for the town's discussion. That is for the town's discussion. Thank you. Staff is aware of signage set out at the railroad crossing at North Avenue. Despite our best outreach efforts, we have yet to receive any communication from the railroad as to the project's scope and or possible closure dates. We will continue our efforts to obtain more information on this, but we are aware that there are project signs out on North Avenue at the railroad crossing.
I was over that grade passing today, and it appears to be complete in a rather haphazard way. It appears that instead of rebuilding that crossing, what Wisconsin Central Canadian National did was use some hot mix and just fill in the blacktop as they, I would assume, exit their ownership of that. I don't think they're going to spend a great deal of money, but it looks okay, but it's not going to be a long-term solution for that. I would look at that area and say, I don't think it's going to support the heavy traffic that's going over that grade crossing very long. I would say probably, and again, I'm not an engineer, but I don't think that that's gonna last. I don't think that's gonna last through winter. That'll
Okay.
pop out, especially with the weight of the trains that are taking.
And I believe that is a portion of a truck route as well, so we
All
will,
that signage is gone, Jim.
okay,
It is, it
Okay.
is, and so, yeah, it looks like they actually put more like full patch material.
Yeah,
down,
it's-
like it's not
Nice.
even compacted well, it's
Yeah.
kind of loose asphalt.
excellent,
Yeah, they just basically milled it and packed it and rolled it. and
Okay.
it's Not a very good job.
Following up on the National Night Out event, the National Night Out event generated a donation of $766 and a food donation of about 500 pounds to Family Sharing. So some excellent results from that great community event. Just an update from our Community Development Department. Year to date, the Community Development Department has had 56 new homes approved, whereas last year in total, there were 60 new homes approved. So they're quite busy and continuing on with this trend of residential development here in the village. And then last but not least, with the recent rains, grass cutting has once again become a priority. Unfortunately, what we're now experiencing is over half of our seasonal staff has left employment, either to return to school or begin athletics. So you will see some full-time staff on the mowers. That said, it is a priority for us, and we will do everything we can to keep up, considering the recent rain events and favorable growing weather here in August. So that is my update for this evening.
Okay, we have some other department heads and staff, anything that you wish to impart to the board? All right.
Yeah, I really appreciate President Bronco reaching out to the gentleman today about the information on Blackhawk. Certainly, some of the things that, I've been hearing from constituents are that this is a challenging time for a lot of people, and I think their ire is up over things that are very small, but when we hear that they leave voicemails and don't get a call back, I think that just upsets them. So I'd like to just, put that onto our department heads, if you get a call from somebody and it's a voicemail, if you can get back to them, it's sincerely, they are our customers, and, they do deserve a call back, and we'd just like to make sure that we get on that.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Comments, questions?
I do.
Okay.
In reference to that, I didn't know all I did was read the email mid-afternoon. Did we take some action on what's going on there?
Well, I mean, they're coming tomorrow. So
Oh, everything's being done as planned.
Other than that, I think this one gentleman had, I think he had a contractor coming or something like that. For the bulk of it, I think you could probably park within 2 blocks or 3 blocks of actually the work. So it's not like you have to park and take a bus or park and walk 1.5 miles to get to your home or anything like that. I didn't recommend that they would do the work.
No, I talked to the contractor just before our meetings here tonight, and he said his direct phone number was on the notification, so he had talked to about 5 or 6 residents this afternoon. Anticipate he'll get more calls as people are getting home this evening. And he is doing his best to try and work with them and start at certain blocks where there are no conflicts and things like that.
Okay.
However, shouldn't people get more than a 1-day notice, or was that wrong?
That was wrong. They definitely should. And so I let them know, if they were here again, they definitely need to give, a good week notice would be appreciated. We put something out on Facebook a week or so ago, but obviously that doesn't get to all of the affected residents.
So I apologize on behalf of the village and said we would definitely.
If you sent something out later today, I didn't see it.
Oh, no, I was late. All right. Let's move on to licenses. Entertain a motion to approve the operator's license.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion passes. For the bills, entertain a motion for approval of village expenditures, $528,743.58. I saw on the back and forth. All questions answered and asked.
Yes, I have a question.
Okay.
So Jesse, I noticed, in fact, it was through the PD, that exhaust and manifold repair done at Gordy Boucher, because the vehicle is under warranty, but the repair was operator error. most
Correct.
likely, Right?
Correct, yep.
So, and I don't know if this is cheap for you or like, can repairs like that sort of dollar amount, can we look at getting those done locally?
I guess, I don't think there's anything precluding that other than having that relationship with a vendor to get that quality service and get the squad turned around in short order, having the parts for us.
Well, if I may on that, so this was an instance where the check engine light came on a vehicle. It wasn't running correctly. It was under warranty, so we took it to the dealership because that's where we figured it would get repaired. We had no idea there was damage to it. So rather than moving it to a local repair shop, we let them fix it. They got the OE parts, so that's just the best way to get it done.
Right.
Unfortunately, the cost was what it is.
Is that a Chevrolet or Ford?
For,
Okay. Well, yeah, there's Rear Brothers in Saukville. Why can't you go there?
well, we could go to Saukville, but we've had problems with Saukville's level of service. They're on a 2-week backlog, and we don't have time to wait for 2 weeks to get a car back. We're limited on our stock as it is. So we take it to where we know we can get it done and get it done within a certain amount of time.
Chief, what was the turnaround time on that, you know?
I don't believe it was more than 4 days. I think it
Okay.
was pretty quick. Because I'd have to look at the repair notice and the date we brought it in, but it was no longer than a week.
Okay, thanks.
Will this be a vehicle that's passed on to DPW, Park and Rec? This vehicle we will have because we purchased it, is that correct?
Yeah, so, well, all of our vehicles right now are as part of that enterprise fleet program that we're in.
The new one's coming in.
The new ones and the existing ones, the way that the structure of our lease program was done, it was based upon our existing fleet. The numbers that they calculated were based on the sales of these cars in our existing fleet. So once we're ready to up those, replace those cars, is what I'm trying to say. When we're ready to replace those cars, then those cars will go off to auction, and those funds that we bring in for those vehicles go towards our new fleet under the lease to keep our lease payments down.
All right, Amy?
Chief, I saw there was a line item for a wall mural at the police department. I didn't even know there was one. Or are you having one done?
We are having 2 done. I think those of you that came on the tour, we explained what we were doing. We reached out to the Historical Society and gotten some really good historical pictures of Grafton from the 1800s, as well as a picture that we've had in the police department from the 1900s, early 1900s, of some of the first police officers in Grafton. So we've taken those pictures, kind of combined them and made a mural that we put in our neighborhood liaison office. And then also we'll be putting it down the hallway from our lobby to our training room, our community room, so people can actually see and appreciate the value and historic presence of our community.
Thank you.
All right, I entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion.
Motion second, final comments? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll make the motion.
A second.
All in favor?
Aye.
We are adjourned. Thank you all very much.
I make a motion to adjourn.